back. Today we'll be making this highly requested flower ferret. This is a free pattern on my blog if you'd like to follow along with the written instructions, but many of you wanted a video tutorial on this one, so I'm very happy to bring you this video tutorial. I would say that this is more of an advanced beginner pattern due to all of the color changes. So if you're comfortable with color changes, definitely follow along. But if you are a complete beginner, this one may be a little bit too difficult for you. And if you would like to learn how to crochet from the very beginning, I do have an online course. It teaches you basic stitches, more advanced stitches, how to read crochet patterns, and so much more. There's over 40 step-by-step videos, and I promise you can make adorable things like this little ferret once you've finished the course. For this project, I used Premier Parfait Chunky yarn, which is a size 6 super bulky chenille yarn, and I used that with a 5mm crochet hook. You can use any yarn that you would like, but just be aware that if you use a different size or different type of yarn than I used, that your ferret won't be the same size as mine. But for this ferret, I'm going to use this color, which is Hobie Honey Bunny in beige, and I'll be using this for the feet and the face and the belly and the ears. And then for the main body fur color, I'm going to be using this brown, which is Teddy Bear. And then for the flower petals for this one, I'm going to make them pink, and this is Pink Lemonade. And I am using 8mm safety eyes, as well as just a little bit of worsted weight acrylic yarn in pink for the little nose, but you can use felt as well if you would rather do that. You'll also need a stitch marker so we can keep track of where we are, some fiberfill stuffing, and some scissors. And again, if you would like to follow along with the written pattern for this, that is free on my blog. I'll link it in the video description. And if you would like an ad-free PDF of it, I always have those available on my Patreon. So this is a low sew pattern, so we'll be crocheting on most of the pieces instead of sewing them on. Like we'll crochet on the flower petals, we'll crochet on the arms. So to start, we'll need to make the arms first before we start on the body. So let's grab our main body color. I'm using brown, and you are going to make a slip knot. Place that on your hook and pull it tight. And next I'm going to chain 2, or you can do a magic circle if you would rather do that. And then all into the second chain from the hook, I'm going to do 6 single crochets all into that same chain there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to pull that tight, and here is our starting circle. Next, I'm going to single crochet around, so that's 1 single crochet in each of the 6 stitches around the circle. So we are going to insert our hook, pull up a loop, do the first single crochet, and we are going to do 5 more. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next, we are going to flip our work to make sure that the correct side is showing, and we are going to do 1 single crochet and 1 decrease, and I do the invisible decrease. So to do that, we are just going to grab the front loop of the next 2 stitches, grab our yarn, pull through, grab our yarn, and pull through again. Next, we're going to do a single crochet, and then we're going to do 1 more decrease. Now we are going to flatten the opening here of that arm, and we're going to crochet through both sides. So we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch, and then the stitch on the back side here. Grab your yarn, pull up a loop, grab your yarn, and pull through both of those loops. And now we'll do 1 more single crochet to crochet that opening of the arm closed. And we're just doing this because it makes it much easier for us to be able to crochet the pieces on later when we're creating the body. Next, we're just going to fasten off and leave a tiny little tail, because again, we don't need a tail for sewing. Going to cut that off, pull that tight, and then we are just going to weave this tail in. And there is your first arm. So we will need 2 arms, so you can pause the video here, make your second arm, and then come back and continue once you've made your second arm. Next, we're going to make the tail. So again, grab your main body color, create a slip knot, place it on your hook, and pull it tight. Now we're going to chain 2. And then into the second chain from the hook, we're going to do 6 single crochets all into that same stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's pull that tight. Next, we're going to single crochet around for 3 rounds. So that's 1 single crochet in each of the 6 stitches around, and we'll do that 3 times. So let's start with our first round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I like to flip my work now to make sure that the correct side is showing. And let's do our second round of single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And let's do our third round of single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Next, we're going to do 1 single crochet, and then 1 decrease, and then 1 single crochet, and 1 decrease. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did for the arms. We're going to flatten the opening, and we're going to do 2 single crochets through both sides here to close that opening. So we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch and into this stitch back here and do a single crochet, and then we'll do that one more time. And we will need to leave a tail for this because we will need to sew the tail on. So you want to leave a fairly long tail and cut that off, pull that tight, and there is your little ferret tail. Next, we're going to make the flower petals, and we will be making 6 of these. So I'll show you how to make the first one, and then you can make the next 5. So I'm going to grab my pink yarn. You can use whatever color you want to use for your flower. And I'm going to make a slip knot, place that on my hook, and pull it tight. Next, I am going to chain 2. And then all into the second chain from the hook, we are going to do 6 single crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Next, let's pull that tight. Now we are going to do 6 increases. So for my beginners, an increase is 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So we're going to do 6 of them. So let's do our first increase. And now let's do 5 more. Now we are going to single crochet around. So that's 1 single crochet in each of the 12 stitches around the circle. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Next, let's flip our work. And now we are going to do 6 decreases. So let's do our first decrease. And remember, I'm doing invisible decreases, but you can do regular decreases if you prefer. And there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And just as we did for the arms and the tail, we are going to flatten this opening here, and we're going to do 3 slip stitches to close this opening here. So I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch and into the stitch on the back there, grab my yarn and pull through to do a slip stitch. And now let's do 2 more. Insert my hook through both sides and pull through. There's our second slip stitch, and let's do our last slip stitch. Next, we can fasten off, leave a tiny little tail. We won't need a tail for sewing. Cut that off, and then just weave in that little tail there. And there is your first flower petal. Now pause here and make the rest of the 5. I also have gotten a few questions if you want to make the ferret without the flowers. You can absolutely do that. Just don't make the flower petals and then just skip the round where we attach the flower petals, and you can make just a little ferret. It doesn't have to be a flower ferret. Okay, so if you are making the flower, pause the video and make a total of 6 flower petals. After you have made all 6 of your flower petals, we can move those to the side. So you want to make sure you have your flower petals, the arms, and the tail done. And now we are going to start on the body. So I'm going to start with this beige colored yarn, and that will be the color for just the feet here, and then we'll change colors into the body color. So you want to make sure that you have your main color and the lighter color both available for the body section. So we are going to make the feet first. So we're going to do a slip knot, place it on our hook, and pull it tight. Now we are going to chain 2, and then all into the second chain from the hook, we're going to do 6 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we can pull that tight, and now I'm going to single crochet around, so that's 1 single crochet in each of the 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and after we do the 5th one, let's turn our work because we're going to change colors on the 6th stitch. So you are going to insert your hook into that next stitch, grab your yarn, and pull up a loop. And now we are going to grab our main color, and we're going to place it right behind and grab it and pull through those 2 to change colors to that main color. So now that we have changed colors, now we are going to do 1 single crochet and do 1 increase, and do that 2 more times. Do 1 single crochet and 1 increase, 1 single crochet and 1 increase. Okay, and we are going to fasten off with this first leg. So we can do a slip stitch into that next stitch. Grab our yarn, pull up just a little tail. We don't need a tail for sewing. So we want to also cut off this lighter color as well. And then I'm just going to weave in this tail here. And I like to tie them in a knot just to make sure that nothing comes apart. And there is our first little foot. Now let's make the next one. Also, please ignore, I know my fingers are peeling. I absolutely love this yarn, but it does make my sensitive skin peel a bit, this acrylic yarn. If that happens to anyone else, please let me know. Okay, let's move on to the next leg. So we are going to take our light colored yarn, do a slip knot, place that on our hook and pull it tight. Now we are going to chain 2 and all into the second chain from the hook. We are going to do 6 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we are going to pull that tight. Next we are going to single crochet around. So we'll do 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And just as we did for the last one, after the 5th single crochet, we can flip our work, since we will be changing colors on the 6th. So we are going to insert our hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, then we're going to grab our darker colored yarn, place that behind, and change colors. Next we are going to do 1 single crochet and 1 increase, and we'll do that 2 more times. 1 single crochet, 1 increase, 1 single crochet, and 1 increase. Okay, now we are going to leave this foot on our hook because we're going to crochet them together. I am also going to leave this light color attached because we're going to be changing colors on the belly, so we can just leave that attached there. So now we are going to single crochet around both of these legs. So we're going to insert our hook into any stitch on that first leg that we created, and we're going to do a single crochet. And make sure you pull that tight. Next we are going to do 8 single crochets around the rest of this leg here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So there's a total of 9 single crochets around there. And next we are going to go into this stitch over here on the other leg, and we're going to do 9 single crochets around this leg as well. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And if you have a little gap between the legs here, you can just sew that shut once we finish. Now I'm going to grab my stitch marker and place it on the last stitch that we did, just to keep track of where we are. So now we're going to start working on the body, and we will be doing color changes on the belly over here. So we are going to start this round with 2 single crochets and an increase, 2 single crochets and an increase, and then on that last increase we won't finish that, we'll just pull up the loop there because we are going to change colors to our lighter color here. So we are going to place it right behind and change colors just as we did before. And now we are going to do 2 single crochets and 1 increase, and then do 2 single crochets and 1 increase. And again, on that second increase, you'll insert your hook, pull up a loop, and then you'll leave the 2 loops on your hook because we're going to change colors back to the brown. So we are going to pull a loop of that brown yarn through both of those loops to change colors. And now we are going to end with 2 single crochets and 1 increase, and do that one more time. 2 single crochets and 1 increase. Now we are on round 6 of the body, and we are going to do 3 single crochets and 1 increase. Increase. 1, 2, 3, increase. And on that last increase, you'll just pull up a loop. You'll have 2 loops on your hook. And now we're going to change colors to our lighter fur color here. And now we are going to do 8 single crochets in this lighter color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then on the 8th one, we'll pull up a loop, and we're going to change colors back to this darker color. And then we're going to do 3 single crochets and an increase, and do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, and an increase. We'll start round 7 with 10 single crochets. And on that last single crochet, we'll pull up a loop. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, and then we'll change colors to this lighter color here. And we'll do 8 single crochets just in the lighter color. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then on the 8th one, we'll change colors back to this brown color, and then we'll do 10 single crochets in the brown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Next, we are going to move on to round 8. We are going to start with a decrease, and again, I use invisible decreases. So we're going to grab the first 2 stitches, pull through, and pull through again. And next we'll do 2 single crochets, and then we'll repeat that, decrease, and 2 single crochets, and we'll do a decrease, and then 1 single crochet, and now we'll change colors back to the lighter color. And now we are going to do a single crochet, a decrease, a single crochet, and a decrease. And we will not finish off this decrease, but we will change colors to the darker brown. And then we'll do a single crochet, and then another single crochet. Now we'll do a decrease, 2 single crochets, a decrease, 2 single crochets, and then end with 1 single crochet. Now moving on to round 9, we'll start with a decrease, and then a single crochet, And we'll do that again, a decrease and a single crochet, and then a decrease. And before we finish our decrease, when we have just 2 loops on the hook, we are going to change colors to this lighter color here. So we're going to pull through those 2 loops with that lighter color. And next we are going to do a single crochet and a decrease, and then a single crochet. And again, we'll change colors to that darker color. And next we will do a decrease and a single crochet, decrease and a single crochet, and one more time, decrease and single crochet. And as you can see, we're starting to form the bottom of that rounded ferret body, and we can start to stuff it now. And we're going to add more stuffing as we go along. But you want to make sure that you stuff it pretty well because you want that nice chubby ferret belly. Now for round 10, we are going to start with 2 single crochets and a decrease, and then a single crochet. And now we are going to color change to that cream color. And we are going to do 3 single crochets. And we are going to change colors back to the darker brown. And now we are going to do a single crochet and a decrease. And then we're going to end this round with 3 single crochets. Okay, for rounds 11 through 13, we're going to do the same thing for 3 rounds. So we'll do that together. We're going to start with 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we'll change colors here. And we're going to do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3, and then we'll change colors. And we'll do 5 single crochets in the brown. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we'll repeat this same process for the next 2 rounds. So we'll start with 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll change colors and do 3 single crochets in the lighter color. 1, 2, 3, and then change colors to the darker brown and do 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we are going to do 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Change colors. Do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and change colors to brown, and do 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this is what your ferret should look like so far. You can give it a little tug if those color changes started to shift. And there's our ferret. So now we will attach the arms in this next round using the no-sew method. So we are going to start with 2 single crochets just on the body. 1 and 2. And we are going to attach our first arm here. So we're going to place it right in front of the body there, and we're going to do 2 single crochets through the arm and through the body to attach the arm, and this is called the no-sew method if you haven't done this before. So you are going to insert your hook into the next stitch over and into the next stitch on the body. Grab your yarn and pull up a loop through all of those stitches through the body and the arm. Grab your yarn and pull through those 2 loops. And we're going to do that one more time to attach the arm. So we are going to insert our hook through the stitches on the arm and the body, pull up a loop, and then pull through those 2. And that is how we attach our arms. And now we are going to do a single crochet just on the body. And then we're going to color change to this cream color. I'm going to do 2 single crochets and then color change back to this brown color, do a single crochet, and now we are going to attach the second arm using the same method that we just did for the first. So we're going to insert our hook through the next stitch on the arm and on the body, grab our yarn, pull up a loop, grab our yarn, pull through those 2 loops, and do that one more time to attach the second arm. And then we are just going to end with 2 single crochets just on the body. And now we can fasten off. So we can cut off this light colored yarn here, and then we want to fasten off with our main color. And you want to make sure that you leave a long tail because we will need this to sew the head to the body. So you want to cut that tail and then pull this tight here. This is what your ferret's body should look like. And now you can add any extra stuffing. So you want to make sure that you stuff this section here, and of course add any extra stuffing to the bottom if you need it. And there's our cute little ferret body. So let's set this to the side and let's make the head. We're going to start the head with our lighter colored yarn. So we are going to do a slip knot, place that on the hook and pull it tight. Next we're going to chain 2, and then all into the second chain from the hook we are going to do 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we are going to pull that tight, make sure we close that gap in the center there. And next we are going to do 1 single crochet and 1 increase, and we'll do that 3 times. So we'll do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, and do that 2 more times. 1 single crochet, 1 increase, one single crochet, and 1 increase. Now we can flip our work, make sure that the correct side is showing. And next we are going to do 2 single crochets and 1 increase, and we'll do that 3 times. So we'll do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and then we'll do an increase, and we'll do that 2 more times. 2 single crochets and an increase, and do that 1 more time. 2 single crochets and an increase. I'm going to place my stitch marker here to keep track of where we are. And we are going to start color changing on the face in this round. So we are going to start this round with 2 single crochets. And we are going to change colors to our darker color. So we're going to place that behind and pull through both of those loops with the new color. And we are going to do 1 single crochet and 1 increase. And do that 2 more times. 1 single crochet, 1 increase, 1 single crochet, and 1 increase. And we are going to change colors back to our lighter color. And we are going to end this round with 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. In this next round, we are going to do 2 single crochets and change colors to our brown. And now we are going to do 2 single crochets and 1 increase and do that 3 times. There's our 2 single crochets and 1 increase, and do that 2 more times. 1, 2, increase, and 1, 2, increase. And we'll change colors on that last increase back to our lighter color and do 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this will be the last color changing round on the head. So we're going to do 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And on that last single crochet, we're going to change colors to the brown. And we're going to do 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we are going to change colors on that last one back to the lighter color, and we are going to do 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And you can cut the darker yarn off now, so we are done with color changes. And this is what your ferret's face should look like so far. We're going to insert our safety eyes now. I used 8mm safety eyes, but you can use whatever size you would like. And I'm inserting them between rounds 4 and 5 with 4 visible stitches between. So 1, 2, 3, here's 4 and 5. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side and make sure that they look fairly even. That looks like a ferret. And I'm going to put the backs on. Okay. Once I have the eyes in, now in this next round we are going to attach our flower petals. So again, as I mentioned before, if you're not doing the flower petals, if you're just crocheting the ferret without the petals, just completely skip this round. But if you are making the flower ferret, then we are going to crochet these on just like we crocheted the arms on, and we'll be crocheting each of them on with 3 single crochets. So let's grab our first petal here. We're going to insert our hook through the first stitch on the flower petal, and you want to make sure that you go under where we did that slip stitch here. It just makes the petals not stick out as much. And we are going to go into the next stitch on the head, grab our yarn, pull up a loop, grab our yarn, and pull through those 2 loops and make sure that you really pull that tight. And we're going to do that 2 more times. to attach this first petal here. And this is what it should look like when you attach the first petal. So we're going to do that same process for the rest of the 5 petals. Attach each of them with 3 single crochets on the petal and on the head. And this is what it should look like after you have attached all 6 of the petals. And you can kind of fan them out a bit on your ferret. And now we are going to continue crocheting around the head here. So next we are going to single crochet around for 3 rounds. So that's 1 single crochet in each of the 18 stitches around for 3 rounds. After you have crocheted around for 3 rounds, now we are going to stuff the head. And you want to make sure that you stuff it well, but don't overstuff it because you don't want to lose that definition of the face. You want to make sure that it still has that ferret kind of cone shape. And after you have stuffed the face, now we are going to do our decreasing rounds. So we are going to do 1 single crochet and 1 decrease and do that 6 times. There's 1 single crochet and 1 decrease. And do that 5 more times. And now we are just going to do 6 decreases. And you can add any extra stuffing here as you do this last round of decreasing. And after you have done your 6 decreases, you can pull up a little bit of a tail. And now we're going to close this opening here. And now I am going to weave this tail in through the front loops of all the stitches around this circle here. And I am going to just pull that shut. And then I like to tie a little knot into one of the stitches just to make sure that everything stays in place. And then I can weave in my tail here and shape the back of the head there and the face. And there is our little ferret's head. So next let's add the nose and the ears. To make the nose, I'm going to grab a little sewing needle and some pink worsted weight acrylic yarn. And I am just going to weave this in and out of the tip of the nose here 3 times to create the nose. then I am just going to tie these tails in a knot here to make sure that our nose stays in place. And then you can just weave in those tails back into the head. And there is our little ferret nose. Now we are going to create the ears. To create the ears, we are going to use our lighter colored yarn, and we are going to insert our hook between rounds 6 and 7 and just outside of the top of this eye here. And we are going to grab our yarn and we're going to pull through, and I like to tie a knot to attach that yarn here, and then we can weave that yarn back into the head, that tail, and we're going to insert our hook back into that same stitch and pull up a loop of that cream colored yarn. Now we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We are going to skip a stitch and we are going to go into this next stitch over here on the head and do a slip stitch. And then we are going to fasten off and cut a little tail. And then we can pull that tight, weave in that tail of yarn to the head, and then give a little tug on that ear. And there is our first ferret ear. Now let's make the next one. You're going to go into this stitch right here above the eye on that same round that you just made that first ear. And we are going to tie the yarn on. And weave in the tail. And then we're going to pull up a loop, chain 3, and we're going to skip a stitch and go into this next stitch over here and do a slip stitch and then fasten off. We're going to cut this tail, pull that tight, and then weave in this tail of yarn. And there is your ferret face. Now let's sew the head to the body and the tail to the body as well. Next, we're going to sew the head to the body. So you want to make sure that the head is facing forward and it's not tilted upward like this. So when you sew it on, you want to make sure that these front stitches here of the body are right underneath this flower here. So what I like to do is I like to make sure that everything is kind of pinned in place. I use these Amigurumi stitch sticks. I'll link where I get them in the description. You can just use sewing needles as well. It's nice to have these mini ones for little projects like this though. So you want to make sure that everything is pinned in place. And I am going to grab a tapestry needle and we are going to sew the head onto the body. And again, you want to make sure that you are sewing the body pretty close, pretty much on top of these flowers here so that the ferret's not kind of like looking upward. So I'm just going to insert my needle into a stitch on the head there and then through 2 stitches here on the body and pull everything tight. And you want to keep doing that until everything is attached. And again, when you get to this portion here, we want to sew right where those flowers are. And we'll go through these 2 stitches here on the body. And again, we want to go right where these flowers are. And then onto these stitches on the body. And then to finish off, I'm just going to go into the next stitch and tie it in a knot. Cut off a little tail and weave in that tail to the body. And the last thing we're going to do is sew the tail onto the back of the body. You can use the tail kind of as a little tripod so that the ferret can stand on its own. I'm going to use some knitting T-pins to hold things in place. These are great. They're actually used for garment blocking, but I found that they work really well to hold things, smaller things, in place as we sew. So to sew this on, I'm going to use the tapestry needle again, and I'm going to go into a stitch on the body, and then I'm going to go down through a stitch on the tail. And then just repeat that until I've sewn the tail to the body. And then I just like to tie it in a little knot to keep everything in place. Cut a little tail and weave it in. And there's a little tail on the back of our ferret. And there is our completed flower ferret. I hope you enjoyed making this cute little spring critter. And I'd love to see your creations, so don't forget to tag me on Instagram at The Wonder Crochet. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments what types of videos or tutorials you'd like to see next. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.